Hello, folks. Well, we're trying to deal with a little confusion problem here, and I'll explain what the story is. And this may or may not be interesting to anyone watching. It may be interesting to people that do video hangouts or hangouts online. Now, Chris, you're in Michigan.
Yep.
Chris Johnson, you're not in the Upper Peninsula.
No, I'm right in the central near Flint.
Okay. Now, you wanted to do a hangout for Molson XXX. It's been around about 22 years. I can't do that because I drank all mine, and I don't have time to drive back to New Jersey and get a six-pack.
Yeah.
So I can't do it. Now, the bigger problem, or another problem that you ran into, was it was very confusing to try to set this up. And there's like, on Google Plus, right, you can set up an event, invite the people, describe what the event's about. You can even bring up photos from your computer and post them to make it specific to the event. Like, you know, I have the Boston cream stout coming tomorrow, Samuel Adams cream stout, and I found a photo. It looks real nice. And in the past, maybe a month or 2 months ago, I did that, and there was a button on Google Plus that said start. So I started it, invited the people, did the video. Now you have a little, there's a little echo. Maybe your mic is too loud. It's coming back into mine. Yeah, I was hearing echo. But I noticed the last month, there was no link on the Google Plus event. It's there, the people invited is there, the theme, the time, the date, all of that. You can edit it, whatever. But there was no button, no thing to hit to say start the event.
Mm-hmm.
It's really strange. So now you can do Hangouts. Video Hangouts just are private with people, right?
Yeah.
It's not recorded though. That's just like a chat, but over the video, audio, or you can write it.
It just goes to our profile. It doesn't go to our YouTube channel or nothing like that.
Right. Now, so what I do when I do these Hangouts on air, which I often do, Maria Devon does them, you do them.
Yeah.
I go to YouTube. You go to your, because you know YouTube is integrated to some extent with Google Plus.
Mm-hmm.
There are some problems, but you go to YouTube and you have your account and you click on upload. Now, when you go to upload, it'll give you choices like upload from your computer, which is what people normally do. They'll record a video on a camera and they'll download it to their computer, and then they'll upload it to YouTube.
Yep.
Which is a lot faster today than it used to be. I remember when I first started doing that in 2010, it would take hours to upload it, literally.
I'll bet.
Now it does it in less than an hour almost every time. But obviously dependent on the length of the video and the video quality. Mine are in 1080 HD, so it's going to take a little longer. But they also give you choice Hangouts on air. So you click that, but that's the way I have to do it. Like you were trying to do this on your channel. You wanted to do the Molson XXX. Yeah. So, but you couldn't find out where do I start this? It's like, what's going on here? So
it said the live broadcast was going to be starting in 10 minutes. Then it went down to 5. Then when it said beginning soon, it just got stuck there. No camera comes up, you know, no way to invite people.
You were feeding it through Google Plus?
Yeah, I was feeding it through Google, and it said it was going to my YouTube channel.
Yeah, it was the same problems I've run into. So and somebody could be watching this and saying, no, you're doing it wrong, whatever. But
yeah,
what I do, and you know, we do that on Wednesday nights and we never really have any problems, unless there's some kind of broadband issues like connectivity, and then you'll have people cracking up. But that's not anything we can control. It could be just.
They call it lagging in the gaming world. That's what they call it.
Right. And I guess people run into that if there's computer problems like in the network around the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
You probably run across that sometimes, huh?
All the time.
So
all over the world.
So what I'll do is I'll go and I'll hit Hangout on air, and then I have to like rewrite it. I'll rewrite the description, which doesn't take long, and then it'll say what time does it start, and then you click on that and the date, and then It only gives you 30-minute increments. It doesn't give you like 9:45 or 10:15. You got like 10 or 10:30, 11:30. Well, anyway, then I invite. Then it'll say start, and it'll bring up a screen. The screen will pop up like a new window, and it'll say invite. Then you can click invite as me. You can invite everybody, but you know that irritates people because they're like, "Why are you sending this to me?" You know, and that you can understand that. That's because they don't even have any notice. But the people that already have been invited and know about it and say they might go or they're going to go, of course I'm going to invite them. So I just go down the list and you'll type in a name and like you won't even be finished typing the name in and the name will pop up.
Yeah.
You click that and like I might type Chris and then it'll come up Chris Johnson. So I'll click and I might type John Sharon and whoop, there it is.
Yep.
If I type John, it'll be John Walker, John Sharon, right? So you'll go through and make sure, hopefully don't forget anybody. And you can always click over to the other tab and make sure you got all your invites.
Yeah.
Then you hit invite, and then people start jumping in, and then you wait around and no one else shows up. So then you press start, and it'll kind of like spin a little bit. You know how that thing does? It'll say starting, and it'll make a little chime. Tink. It does a little tink chime when it's first getting ready, but it's not on air yet. You got to wait for that second tink, and then it'll come up in red, like a red camera, like in the old TV days, and it'll let you know that it's broadcasting. And you can always hit the red button for stop broadcast.
Yeah.
Only problem that confuses people is almost like you've done two events. You've got the Google Plus event, but you're not broadcasting through that, but you're broadcasting through the YouTube event. I mean, it's not a major problem because people just forget about the Google thing and just like out of there.
A lot of people are focused on YouTube, so they oftentimes don't see it on your Google because they're looking for it on YouTube half the time.
Yeah, and if you don't visit the Google Plus page, you might not get an alert depending on your settings on your YouTube. You know, your YouTube, what they call it, community, your messages.
Yeah.
You know, another thing like YouTube messages, if I don't manually press that button, I won't see private messages people send to me. There might be a way to get alerts.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I just make sure a few times a week I'll check that. And sometimes it'll be spam. You know, somebody saying, "Oh, I love to watch your videos, and I have a great opportunity for you."
Junk mail. And
we can really promote your videos. And I'm like, I bet you could. So I always just delete that.
Yeah.
But was that kind of like the problem you were running into?
Yeah. It's like I had everybody invited. I had all the dates, the times, everything was set up. The only problem was I don't think I had the it's pretty stupid, but I don't think I had the switch to YouTube on my Google. I think it just keeps sending it directly to my Google account and it doesn't send it to YouTube. That's what happens.
I never get the crossover either. So I just, the night, like tomorrow night when we're doing the Boston Samuel Adams cream stout.
Yeah, I wish I could be there for that.
Yeah, the event, the event's already set. But I'm going to have to go into YouTube and go hit upload and then hit Hangouts on air. And then I'm going to have to write it out again, which, like I said, won't take any time. And then I'll have to invite each person for that night. And then when I hit, and then they'll get their alert and they'll start jumping in. And then we'll do it. I don't know how many people are going to show up for that because much like the Boston Ale, the cream stout is extremely rare, even though it's sad because those are two of the best ones they make.
Yes.
Their main line
is way better than the Boston Lager. Way better.
You thought so?
Yep. Unfortunately, Michigan, it's non-existent.
Yeah, the problem with Samuel Adams is they've gotten so much caught up in the seasonal and the alternatives and the gimmick beers.
Flavored beers.
Yeah, and Twisted Tea and Traveler and all that. It's almost like, well, they're neglecting their what you call it, their flagship stuff. And maybe I don't think the quality has deteriorated. You just can't find it. You know, what's the purpose of having you? There's no distribution. I mean, yeah, I can find Curious Traveler, but
they're more attuned to
Boston Ale. Huh?
They're more attuned to mass marketing now, what the majority likes. So they're just going to put out mass quantities of like the flavored beers or those Bud Light mixed tails and stuff. it kind of sickened me because on the 4th of July, all I seen when I went to the store to pick myself up some King Cobra, all I seen was people buying cases of Bud Light and cases of Mixtail and Mangaritas and all that flavored crap, and it's just, ugh.
Yeah, well, the Bud Light you can kind of deal with because that is an actual beer. It's not a malternative. And I was
beer.
You want to start talking about the Molson XXX?
Yeah, I was shocked to actually find this in my area. This is the first time I got this at Meijer's, which is a grocery store, which is common in Michigan and Ohio. Yeah. It's kind of like Walmart. But anyway, back to the beer. I did not know that. I thought the only places that had this was like the Northeast where you went, to New York and New Jersey.
Yeah.
Because they're closer to Canada than we are. But before I open the beer, from what I can tell.
Wait a minute, isn't Michigan right next to Canada?
Michigan, it seems like it's right next to Canada. If you drive to Port Huron, you can
or Detroit
you can get there in 2 hours. But once you get to the border drive is another hour. Plus, you got to wait through that hour of traffic, so it turns it like a total 2-hour drive into a 4-hour drive.
I went to Detroit last year and I didn't even bother crossing in because it's gotten to be such a hassle. I remember back 12 years ago, you could cross just like walking across the street. It was nothing,
Yeah.
Okay. So, but we do get Molson Canadian here, but that is about it. We don't get Molson Gold. I don't think you get Gold, do you?
No.
We don't get.
We just get up until just like last week when they brought these and we got the ice and the regular Molson. That was it.
We never got the ice. We might have. No, that's it. We just get Molson Canadian. Now, maybe in Houston, Texas, they might have the XXX because Houston gets some oddball stuff that other people don't get because it is the 4th largest city. So now we're talking about Molson XXX Sport. You noticed that it seemed like it had a higher quality level than your average beers.
Yeah. First, it shocked me that it was actually allowed to be called a beer at 7.3%. I know in Canada, their laws are, lax. They can do whatever they want. They can call anything a beer. They'll just call it extra strong beer. But coming into America, you'd think they would at least change it to like Supreme Malt Liquor or something. And it was richer in flavor. It was richer in the barley malt. That's why it tasted more like a malt liquor to me. But it wasn't too sweet like Steel Reserve. I actually think until now, King Cobra was my favorite, but I actually say this one's my favorite now. This is a much better drink now.
We when I was in New York City in the Bronx, the guy Sharif, Sharif watches my videos and we talk on Facebook, and he wanted to be in. So one of the beers we did was the Molson XXX, and he was at the hotel, and he was really impressed with it because he had never had it. He said, "Man, it's really it's interesting, because it has this like real prickly, bubbly mouthfeel that you wouldn't get in most malt liquors." And it's, I'm going from memory, right? I'm not drinking one right now, but it's got that rich flavor. It's like really strong, like a barley, almost like a syrup in some ways, but it's not syrupy.
I notice with a lot of beers, if they run out of rice or corn, sometimes they will use syrup as a replacement.
Yeah, it's probably cheaper, and a lot of times they use hop extract, which is like a liquid, and they'll use malt extract. I mean, it's just a different presentation of malt or hops.
Yeah.
Or rice. I don't know about rice extract or corn, but to me, I don't even know if this Molson has adjuncts in it. It might have corn, but it sure tastes strong on the.
I can taste corn and smell corn, so it would probably give it the indication that there is, but it's more sweet, and the barley malt is most prominent. And with most beers, there's like light hop bitterness, light barley malt. This one is strong, and
but it's kind of crisp, huh?
Yeah, it's crisp like a Budweiser, strong like a King Cobra, and it almost has a spice taste to it, in my opinion, kind of like with Boston Lager. It kind of has a spice note to it.
I'd like to know what the IBU is on it. It must have a pretty good amount of hop bitterness.
I've got the 6-pack right here. They gave the little history on the handle, and then they have the alcohol percentage, but I'm not exactly seeing like what the IBUs on are there.
They're not going to show that.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm not wrong, but I'm pretty sure that beer came out in 1993. So that was a really early, super strong beer. Because in 1993, a strong malt liquor would have been considered like 5.9 to 6%. Okay, in the ice beer. So that was like a big deal in 1993 when they hit the 5.5% ice house. People were like, wow, we're going to get that up now. And then it just kept, it's like the Ford versus Chevrolet horsepower war. It's like every year it just keeps growing, right? So
yeah, now you're talking about 10% malt liquors like Earthquake and Stack.
yeah, but they've never been able to pull off a really good one. You know, like the major companies, if you notice the major companies, Anheuser-Busch, Molson Coors, and SAB Miller, they don't put out any 10% malt liquors in America because I guess they know they taste bad. They haven't been, but okay, you don't like the Steel Reserve, it's 8%.
Yeah, it's not because of the alcohol, it's the sweetness factor. I can handle 8%. Just when you get malt liquors and they keep getting higher in alcohol, they tend to be sweeter the more higher they go. And the more sweeter it gets, the more alcohol, the more gagging.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've got 7.3%. That's pretty high.
Yeah. So that
but it doesn't taste like super boozy though. From my memory, I drank 5, you know.
I had 3 yesterday, and then I finished another 2 off, and you know, I wasn't really thinking because I was having a stressful day. It was all fine. I'm just sitting on the chair. I get up, and that's when it hit me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow.
You ever seen the big cans that they make of that beer?
Mm-hmm.
When I was in New Jersey 2 years ago in 2013, I was driving along on this rural highway. I wasn't on the interstate. And I saw a liquor store kind of like in the central part of New Jersey, close to Princeton, New Jersey. And I stopped and I went in there. It was a pretty nice little place. And he had the cans. It's like a Foster's can. Kind
of like an oil can?
Yeah. And it was, I said, wow. Of course, I bought it. And that's a lot of strong beer to drink in that one session, you know. It's more like something you'd share with someone. Now, Jeff Lyons, who's really kind of a malt liquor expert, he says he used to go in along the Canadian border, and he said they had a beer called Molson XXX, like 6 point something, and it's like a really old school malt liquor from the 1960s. And he's always telling
me Canadian owned. They probably don't import it here.
I don't think they do. And he's always telling me, get the Molson XXX. And I saw a bunch of old advertisements on the internet for it, and I've never seen it. He says the best of the whole lot, but they apparently still make it in Canada, but it's so rare.
Yeah.
Do you notice that your bottle says Golden, Colorado?
Yes, I noticed it on the 6-pack too. It said Molson Coors, Golden, Colorado.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back. Now there's a Coors beer they sell in Canada that's a malt liquor, 6%. It's not sold in America. It's called Coors Altitude, I think.
Oh wow.
And I was saying, man, I'd like to get that here. I was like, I don't understand that they're selling it. Okay, in Canada you can get this Coors Altitude.
Yeah.
But you can't get Coors Banquet, like the regular Coors. They're like, oh,
well, that's just like cheap regular beer, like Budweiser.
Yeah, it's really strange. And we can't get the Coors Altitude.
Yeah.
But Coors and Molson merged about 10 years ago. People say Molson bought them out, but if you get on the Molson Coors website, there's a whole story about it, and they say it was a 50-50 merger. It was like one company did not buy the other. They just joined together as a 50-50 split. And so it's like the Coors family and the Molson family shares power. Yeah. I don't know how that could work out. They must really get along because it seemed like they would have disagreements or whatever. But
I was really questioning that when I first started drinking Coors, and then I started drinking Canadian beers. But Coors is an American company and Molson is Canadian. So how the hell did those things ever merge?
Probably had something to do with North American Free Trade Agreement, which made it easier for those combinations. A lot of people think Miller Coors is a company. But Miller Coors is not actually a company. Miller is part of SAB Miller, a worldwide brewing company, and Coors is part of Molson Coors. Miller Coors is, like they say very clearly, a joint venture. It's a marketing setup. In 2008, they decided to market their beers jointly in America as though they were one company. And sometimes they'll brew each other's beers at each other's breweries. But it's not, when they sell a Coors beer, the profits apparently go back to Coors. When they sell a Miller beer, the profits go back to Miller. And if you look at the bottom of any Miller brand, it's like Miller High Life or Milwaukee's Best. It says at the bottom of the package, it says Miller Brewing Company. It doesn't say Miller Coors.
I just bought not to change the topic, but I thought this can was really sweet. Right on the from these free to think, free to be independent cans.
Yeah.
High Life. So I just had to save this.
Well, what they're doing is, I think Coors sold a lot of bottles and cans over the years because they're always constantly changing their labels, and they know that some people collect cans and bottles, like as evidenced by what's behind me. But I just
guilty of it too. I love it too.
But I had to stop it because it was just too. I mean, Coors. I would have a whole house full of just Coors. You could make a collection with just Coors. And Coors Light is incredible. And like Miller
decided the 6-packs for real cheap. So imagine stacking them all day if you drink 6 packs a day.
Right. So Coors people must have told the Miller people, look, if you keep changing your bottles and labels and make all these commemorative and collectible and special edition,
then they'll keep buying it.
Yeah, these people will buy all that stuff just to have, and so they do it, you know.
That and the fact that a lot of people, it's like what the craft brewers were saying. They're so, I'm not sounding like a craft beer snob, but they're so into just Budweiser, Coors, and Pabst that they're brainwashed by the Miller and Coors and Anheuser-Busch people to say, this is beer. This is what you're going to drink for the rest of your life. You see people sessioning Bud, and they've never even heard of a craft beer.
Well, I have neighbors that are working on the house next door, and they drank Bud Light, okay?
Yep.
And they love it, and they just drink it. Him and his wife, they drink it. Now, and when the guys are over there working on the house, when they're finished working on it, they'll drink it. They're not, oh, I can hear that echo. They're not snobs. Like, they're not going to say, oh, what are you drinking? Or they won't, like, talk it up. Like,
you can't be a snob and be drinking Bud Light. It's just not possible.
You know what I mean? They don't brag on Bud Light. They just like it. But they'll say, hey, you want a beer? You want to drink some beer? So, I mean, they're friendly about it. Now, they know that I do all these exotic beers. You know, to them, they're very exotic. And some of them are. And so they'll say, you know, oh, yeah, you drinking all that? And, like, but never did they say, could I have one? So I went over there one day, and I had a Modelo, Negro Modelo. And I was like, you want to try this? He was like, wow. I don't think he really wanted to try it, but he went along with it and tried it. And he was like, wow, it's really interesting, blah, blah, blah. And he drank it, but I was thinking to myself, really, he's just humoring me. He doesn't really want to drink it. He's not interested in trying anything else. And I'm not saying he's not a snob about it, because he doesn't say, oh, look at you.
It's just Bud Light's what he's been drinking his whole life. They just don't want to change.
And he's satisfied with it.
That's fine. Craft beer snobs, on the other hand, they wouldn't accept that. They would just keep hammering into his head saying that drinking Bud Light is wrong. You know, you got to try this more expensive.
Right. I tried to take a better approach, like just saying, hey, Jerry, how would you like to try this? And he went along with it. But I think his real attitude was he didn't really want to try it. And he said it was good. You know, he's probably thinking in his head, well, this is pretty good. It ain't no Bud Light, but it's okay.
It was breaking from the norm, so, you know.
Yeah, but to say he would ever really want to drink anything else, no. Now, but like you're saying, the beer snob, which hurts the craft beer, if you want to call it a movement. I don't like to call it a craft beer movement. You know, it's a business.
It's all in their head, basically.
Okay, it's a business to make money.
Yep.
Okay. They would go, like you're saying, next door and say, why are you drinking that garbage?
Yep.
And get in their face and start talking about IBUs and hop varieties and saying, yeah, I was in Vermont drinking this, and he would be saying, what's your attitude? You know,
Go even further. Not only would they do that, but then they start making the guy feel less than because they have more money and he can only afford Bud Light. So they would make him feel like you drinking Bud Light, you're poorer than me. I've seen snobbery like that to a T.
Yeah, it's like to show people up. So in a way, it's almost like you're guaranteeing people aren't going to try. Instead of saying, hey, how would you like to try this? Now, if the person doesn't want to,
don't force them.
You don't force it. I mean, we're talking about beverages. We're not talking about trying to save the world from, pollution or something. So
there are bigger things in the world going on than what beer this guy's drinking. I did a rant video on that a while back.
Yeah, and I mean, you get on, I don't guess you're on Facebook, but
yeah,
those people over there, they are so wrapped up in it. And it's like this obsession and this endless fighting about it. I see them fighting about it. And I just don't really follow those pages because it's like constant.
That's why I like watching your videos, because you try all different things, but you're fair about everything. You don't get snobby about it. You're fair about everything. Whether you, even if you give it an F, you don't get snobby about it.
Yeah, I try to be. I try. That's the whole reason I started it, really, because well, they got a lot of people like that are fair. Now, I got to admit, now if you get on some of these Facebook groups, and there may be Google groups too. I'm just not aware of how to use Google Plus that well, but
yeah,
you get some people that are fair-minded, and they'll try anything, and be cool about it. But back years ago, I noticed that there was some kind of like little thread going throughout the beer drinking world where you had people that were kind of approaching it with a bad attitude of, like you saying, trying to show people up, talking about, yeah, I'm drinking this, it cost me, this much. And I used to badger, I admitted that I used to badger people back in 1996, 97 when I first started drinking beer. My family, they all drink Miller Lite, basically, or Coors Light. Okay, fine. And their interest in beer was, like your interest in potato salad. They bought it. They bought it.
Just beer. It's meant to be drunk. That's it.
Right. They bought it for a get together. It wasn't something to sit there and talk about for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But see, with me, I was like, oh, try this. I wanted to try everything. Like I was buying everything. I would go around the country buying all kinds of stuff. And I was like, try this, try that. We don't want to try it. We don't want to try it. And I was like, Miller Lite tastes bad. And I would tell them that because I used to hate Miller Lite. And they would get always aggravated. Like, what? No one wants to drink that. Okay, it's strong. We hate it. We like Miller Lite. It's like buzz off. And then finally I realized that I'm approaching this totally wrong. Everybody's not interested in that. So, but there was no one else to talk to. Like, and the internet got big, and so you could get on Beer Advocate and rate beer, and then with Facebook, and then with the video reviews, I found out
about your common interest.
Huh?
You had people that shared your common interest.
Right, and with video reviews 5 years ago, I found out about those. So yeah, so then you find out that there are other people that are interested in it, and I found out there are people not that far from me. I went to a beer drinking party, and I mean a beer drinking party like tasting party, not a beer getting blasted party for the 4th of July, Independence Day. And so, but without the internet, you really wouldn't know that there were people with similar interests, right? So it's good. Now, like you said,
even people on the internet, how you said all your family was drinking Miller Lite. Now people are reviewing Miller Lite. So there you go.
Right. And my father, he was the only one that was kind of interested, and he tried different things, and he never liked them, like he always drank Coors Light, right?
Yep.
I would bring him other things to try, and he would try them, but he never liked them. But
I will say that out of all the light beers besides Miller High Life Light, I will say Coors Light has better flavor than Bud Light. At least Coors Light tastes like a beer. Bud Light just kind of tastes off.
It's kind of a tie for me, really. Like when I go work at Bingo once a month at the Knights of Columbus, they let us drink a free beer, or two, however many you want. But I don't try to be, like that. I'll just drink one. And if I'll like switch them around. 1 month I'll drink Miller Lite, then Coors Light, then Bud Light. And to me, it's a tie. But that's me. Maybe I don't pick it up as much as you, but it's a tie to me. But my father did give up drinking beer in 2003 because it was making him sick. So he would drink one beer and catch a fever. So he was like, I better.
Yeah.
He just gave it up. He hasn't drank any beer in over 12 years. And he says he feels a lot better. But he'll tell you, he would tell you, if he was on this hangout, he would say, oh yeah, but I used to drink it only for the effects, just to get drunk.
Yep.
I tell him, I said, so basically you use beer as a drug. Yeah, right, a drug. I use it as a drug. And my grandma was like, why do you have to say that? Don't say that. It sounds bad. My daddy said, yeah, but it's the truth.
My family, I'm probably the only person that actually sits down and actually likes to talk about the beer and taste the beer. My whole family, they're the kind of people that will just chug one beer out after the next for the only purpose to pass out. You're talking about roaring alcoholics.
Yeah, well, that's a real problem. I know some people that got a real problem with drinking, you know, and
on top of that, they're drinking other stuff like liquor and shit too.
Yeah, it's really dangerous, you know. I have other people in my family that they can drink. They're in there. Let's see, one of them is 51 years old. The other one is 63. The other one is 72, going on 73. Well, these people can drink alcohol. It's incredible. Like they'll drink beer all day, starting at 8 in the morning, till they go to sleep. But then they'll interchange it. Like they'll drink it. They'll say, well, they'll get off a Coors Light and they'll say, well, I'm gonna drink some wine. They'll drink red wine. Then, I'll drink Tanqueray and tonic. They'll drink that. And then they'll drink more. And they never get ill. Like they never wake up the next day and say, oh, I feel bad. They just wake up. Let's go to church. Let's go work in the yard. Or it's like, to me, I'm thinking I could never do this. You know, I'd be so ill. But my father, he can't do it at all because he was very sick as a child with bad asthma. And, it made his body weak. So
low immune system, alcohol could affect that just with one beer.
Right. He can't even take vitamins or he'll get sick. So I'm kind of like in between. Like I don't drink a lot because I don't have any interest in it. So, but I do drink steady, right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But like I've told you in the past,
reviews, but just for the tasting, not the drunk.
Yes, that's right. I've told you in the past, it's about 24 a week, which is what, 3 times 7 is 21. So about 3 or 4 a day.
Yeah.
And when I'm working, like on a work day, I'm off today, but on a work day, I'll only drink 2. Today I'm off, so I'll drink 4. I had 1 this morning. I'll have 1 with lunch, 1 in the late afternoon, and 1 in the evening. Now, a lot of people say that's pansy. You're a pansy drinker. I'll be the first one to admit that. I don't care. I'm not here to answer to other people. They can drink, you know, 200 a week.
Drunk. People think being a drunk makes them cool. That does not make them cool. They call you pansy because you can't drink more than 2 beers. Well, if you sit there and drink a whole bunch of beers, that makes you stupid. That don't make you a big man. If you're sitting there chugging down beer, that's just stupid.
Yeah, I'm not. I try to stay thin by not eating too much. Maybe I'm a health freak. I don't know. I don't think so because I'm not going to the health food store, but I try to eat some vegetables every day, drink a lot of water, take up vitamin C every morning, don't drink too much.
Yeah.
Well, you know, hey, I'm not trying to live forever either, but I'd rather feel good than feel bad. I don't think getting diabetes and all kind of health problems because you overate or drank too much or smoked too heavy would be a benefit. I don't see the benefit in that.
Yeah. My uncle Chester, God rest his soul, he passed away 2 years ago. He was on the line at work and he was talking to one of his buddies. He dropped dead of a massive heart attack, and we found out through a mass text from the workers. That was pretty bad. We had to find out Uncle died through a mass text. Well, anyway, he smoked 4 packs of Marlboro Reds a day. He would eat fast food morning, noon, and night. He had the money to do it, so he'd be like McDonald's in the morning, KFC in the afternoon. You know, he would have another burger at night, and then when he got off work, he would grab a 24-pack of Budweiser, grab a bottle of Jack, and it was like, you know, he was a nice guy, but when he grabbed that beer and Jack, it's like, don't talk to him. He would chug every one of those things down, chug the Jack, and then it's like if you came up and talked to him, you were about ready to get a fist in your face, you know?
Right. Yeah, the mean drunks. We know the classic mean drunks. Well, that's a shame, but it's a problem all over the country, I guess, and all over the world.
He made a joke out of it. Every time somebody would say, hey, you're having so much chest pains, you might need to go to the hospital, he'd be like, huh, nothing a shot of whiskey can't fix. Or when they say you need to stop eating too much, he'd be like, better to die young and live happy than old and miserable. Just that was the kind of guy he was, you know.
Yeah, why not be happy and old?
Yeah.
Do both. Well,
yeah.
but anyway, any final thoughts? This hangout was sort of like a all over the place hangout, but it had a purpose.
Yeah,
Of 2 hangouts, and I hope some people watch it might say, well, here's what you need to do. These steps. The steps we're using, or I'm using, work. May not be the best step. Any thoughts on the Molson XXX to wrap it up?
Like I said before, up until now, my malt liquor, I know they don't say it's a malt liquor, but my malt liquors of choice were King Cobra, Oldie, Steel Reserve. I mean, not Steel Reserve, Colt 45, you know, the smoother ones.
Yeah, right.
When I tried this for a 7.3, it doesn't taste that high in alcohol, and I think it just bumps my King Cobra to number 2. This just became number 1. Like I said, it doesn't say it's a malt liquor, but it has that malt liquor taste, and I would buy it again. I think it is good.
Yeah, well, malt liquor's a meaningless term.
Yeah.
It means strong beer, but they can't use the word strong, so they just made up a term. I'm trying to explain this to people. People will
especially because people said when it first came in, I guess I got it 2 weeks before it came in. They said it was like $11.99 a 6-pack, and then when I came in, it dropped down to $6.99. So I got a good deal on these. So that's a little more than $1 a bottle. It's good for your money.
Yeah. And one more thing, and then we'll shut it off. Well, 2 more things. Firstly, this was supposed to be on Chris's channel. Yeah. So if you want to watch some interesting videos, watch Chris Johnson's channel. He just started doing this a few months ago. And Chris, I've seen so many people come on. They're going to do all of this. They make these big announcements. They got all kind of graphics and ultra production. Then they disappear. They lose interest. Secondly, I want to see what you think about doing the Middle High Life Light. It's common here. It's common here, but other people say they don't have it in their area.
Well, like I've been quite a few states, and most states I've been to, including this one, Miller High Life Light is all over the place. I can pick up Miller High Life Light for like $9 for a 12-pack.
Yeah, well, Walmart right now has it for $6.49 a 12-pack right here.
Oh wow, you got it cheap over there.
Yeah, no doubt. So you let me know, and you talk to the other guys. You let me know if y'all would like to look at the Miller High Life Light.
Yep. Well, I definitely know I will be buying it. So if other people are going to join, or just me and you again, I'll be there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, Michigan, we'll see what happens with them in 2015 for football.
Yeah.
They're promising a lot. We're going to find out.
Yeah. I'm a State fan and a Michigan fan, so it's kind of a controversy. They're warring with each other, and I'm a fan of both.
You're supposed to hate one or the other, aren't you?
Yep, but I just can't hate them because they're both my teams. I both love them.
Yeah, if I lived in Michigan, I'd go for both too. But
they have their own qualities to them. Each team has put something forth of effort, so I think that's great.
I agree. All right, well, folks, like I said, this was on my channel for really necessity because he couldn't get it to work.
Yep.